Well, good evening, boys and girls. Welcome back to another live stream on the channel. Now, tonight's show is going to be a bit of a dissection, I'd say, on Leicester City over the past decade or so, particularly in terms of the board. What has gone wrong? There is multiple factors, more than about 20 in my opinion. We're going to try and go through every single thing tonight. Obviously, it's been a while since I did a live stream. The last time I did, we were actually winning a game under Ruud van Nistelrooy. Now, that seems like a long time ago. But it's good to be back and try to stay a bit more consistent now my uni work is put behind me, and we're going to try and talk about what's going on with Leicester right now, because it is an absolute mess. If anyone in the chat believes we are staying up, feel free to let me know your reasons. But I well believe we are down, which is a massive shame. But that's the harsh reality of it. We'll get straight into it in a minute. But first, man in the stream tonight is Chester Leicester. I'll put the first comment in with shit. I think that's the best way to sum it up, innit? Good evening to you too as well, mate. But yeah, people in the chat, flood the chat with reasons why we're failing, why you want, if you want Top and Rudkin out, if you want Rudkin out, if you want Top out. I give my opinion on it soon, but something has got to change. That's what I would say, and in particular, Jon Rudkin. Now, I'm not going to sit here, and this show may present it in a way where it makes out that I think running a football club is easy. Obviously, it isn't, but there is so many mistakes over this past 10 years, and particularly in most recent years from the board at Leicester City, which has led us to this situation. And I think there needs to be some more context around it, because some media are calling Leicester fans entitled, booing this, which I think is absolutely incredible considering where Leicester were just a few years ago. The expectations at Leicester are much, much higher than the likes of Southampton and Ipswich. And no disrespect to them, but rightly so. But yeah, let's get into it then. I've got my little slideshow to go through these two, because in my opinion, I think these two are the reason why Leicester City are staring at relegation, and particularly the man on the left in Jon Rudkin. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly what happens behind the scenes at Leicester, but it's made out highly in the media, and from what we know, that Jon Rudkin deals with a lot of Leicester's kind of transfer business, particularly the wages, that type of thing, which is a big reason why we've had so much PSR issues. And the man next to him in Khun is obviously Leicester City's owner. Now, in my opinion, if Top isn't prepared to sack Rudkin, Top has to go himself. That's a simple way to put it, in my opinion. It's harsh. Some people will disagree with me on that because of what King Power has done for Leicester. But in my opinion, if Top isn't willing enough to realise the countless mistakes which the board, which Leicester have made, and believe me, Rudkin should have gone. It's been, I hate to keep talking about it, but Rudkin should have gone years ago. And the first relegation, something had to change, but absolutely nothing changed. Yes, we got promoted, but we're back to complete square one, and it's happening all over again. Anyway, I just want to put some context onto it, because I think it's still unbelievable the fall off from Leicester. We were in a European semi-final away at Rome between the 28th and the 5th of May. 1 year later, and maybe an extra month or so, at the end of May in 2024, Leicester were relegated. I don't think people talk about this enough. And Leicester finished 8th in the season that year. It's not like we even had a bad season. 8th is good. I mean, and that shows the fall off as well. Us Leicester fans were disappointed coming 8th, and now we're hoping for a win, a goal. A few seasons later, it is absolutely unbelievable. You cannot fall off that much, and something has to change. You can't keep the same board. You can't keep the same people running the football club to have that type of fall off. It is absolutely staggering, and a lot of people are missing this out in terms of talking about Leicester right now. But for me, it's just unbelievable. They weren't too bad actually. Yeah, it gave me a little break from watching Leicester, which was decent. But yeah, the first topic. Welcome back, Brendan. It's good to see him back on the screen. But the first thing I do want to get into tonight is how long it took for. I won't spend too long on it, but how long it took for Rodgers to get the sack, because for me, this was one step in, obviously, Leicester getting relegated. And yes, we had a few managers after that, but Brendan had to go. And that's the thing from the board, once again, absolute incompetence. And yes, Rodgers had, he had credit in the bank. He did well for Leicester, but the signs were there and the board didn't do anything. If you look at Aston Villa, yes, Steven Gerrard had no credit in the bank at Villa whatsoever. They sacked him, got Unai Emery in, and look at Villa now. Leicester acted, but they didn't act. They did nothing. They stood still, stuck their ground, and said it will turn around under Brendan Rodgers, bearing in mind we only signed one player that season, and Faz, and Alex Smithies, if you want to count that, and look what happened. So For me, there's just so many mistakes. Another one, Ademola Lookman. Why on earth did we not sign him? It's like there's so many factors which I've got 21 slides to go through on this. It tells a clear picture. Ademola Lookman, what he got in the Ballon d'Or rankings this season, for 24. And he could have been at Leicester. I wonder where our players would have came. Probably about 500th. Like it's like for 15 million pounds. I know we talked about it enough, but that's another one, a stupid mistake. This season we got relegated. One signing made, about Faz to replace Wesley Fofana. And now nothing against about Faz. I think I wouldn't say he's been alright, but he's been average at best for Leicester. Obviously had some major errors here and there, but as like a backup centre back signing, it wouldn't be too bad. But for him to come in to replace one of the best centre backs we've had in recent years in Wesley Fofana, tells you everything you need to know about the transfer window. Obviously, we had Kasper Schmeichel as well, who obviously left the club that season as well. Did we replace him? No, we kept with Danny Ward in goal, which is another reason why it comes back to Brendan Rodgers. The transfer windows, I want to touch on that as well, so poor. Anytime Leicester have any sort of success, we go and blow it immediately with the transfer windows after. I'm going to get onto 2016 a bit later on, but we won the Premier League. We spent so much money on absolute trash. Absolute trash. Like Islam Soleimani, Ahmed Musa, Luis Hernandez, Ron Robert Zieler. Like, if you look at Aston Villa, they've had their success in getting the Champions League. They're signing elite European players. We did nothing then. We won the FA Cup, wasted all the good money on that, on absolute shit, to be perfectly honest. We got promoted last season, and I hold my hands up. At the time, I said the business wasn't too bad. I liked it, but it's not turned out that way, has it? So I just think the transfer business as well. At times, obviously, Leicester have got it right, but everyone makes out in the media that Leicester are this elite club at finding young talents and whatnot. We haven't done that for ages. We have done that for absolutely ages. Well, the last good few players we've signed is probably like Ndidi, Ricardo. Fofana obviously was a good one, but he moved on when we never replaced him. Exactly, 25 million for Oliver Skip, which we'll come on to at the end of today's show. But that's what I mean. It's just the transfer windows. If you actually break them down and look at them, they're so poor. And even when Leicester were doing good, they were poor then as well, which I'll get onto just now. And obviously the Rudkin out banners and whatnot started the season Leicester got relegated, and they'll be coming back in just a few weeks' time. Obviously, we went with Dean Smith. It wasn't his fault, but that team should have never gone down. If you look at these two, Madison and Yuri Tillemans, never should have gone down. But we've said it so much. But yeah, talking of these transfers, then. It's not just in recent years. It's been ongoing for so long. I just can't believe we won the Premier League and signed these players, and there's more. They're so poor. Did Luis? I don't even know who Luis Hernandez even was at the time, and I don't know. It's so strange. I'd say, yeah, that's a fair point to be honest, but I really do believe they were Maresca signings. I can't lie, but yeah, I'm obviously we don't know exactly, but I mean, for like top level, from what Leicester came from, as being known as this club, who do what Brighton do, bringing these random players from nowhere, perform well for the team, flipping around for nothing. Bilal looking good too. I know, but but Bilal's looking good for a team at our level. I know things change, but I just can't get over the fact of where we've came from and dropped down to. Vestergaard again, just like I said, after the FA Cup season, wasn't he's once again an average Premier League player, can do a job for us, but he's not going to set the world alight, is he? Ryan Bennett in 2020, when Leicester obviously doing fantastically well, we're sitting comfortably in the Champions League places in the January transfer window. You would have thought surely you buy 2-3 players to try and cement our spot in the Champions League, but no, you buy a backup wall centre back, and that was it. Like, I know finances were tough with COVID and whatnot, but I think I think that's one thing you have to look at in terms of teams like Forest. Like, looking back on it, I know hindsight's a nice thing, but I don't know about you guys in the chat. Do you not think Leicester should have just gone for it at some points and just sign loads of players? And yes, take the consequences from PSR, but in the long term, you're probably going to be 6 points better off because of the signings you've made. So, I think honestly, we should have gone with it, and we're just so restricted by this PSR stuff. We're restricted right now. In the current transfer window, one signing. It's the 22nd, and we look nowhere near signing it. It's just ridiculous. It's so poor, honestly. I know I'm being extremely negative, but I find it hard to have any positives about Leicester City right now. And obviously, in other news, Brandon Clover has returned to Leicester, which is a bit of a strange one because he's actually been doing quite well at Port Vale. Obviously, it looks like Tom Cannon's going to be going to Sheffield United for 10 million. Now, what we do with that 10 million, I'm quite worried about. To be honest, because are we going to buy this goalkeeper who is interested in? Like, why are we interested in the goalkeeper? It's like, even the scarves can't hang up properly. It's just a disaster at Leicester right now. But anyway, move on. Tete, obviously, you could have Christensen to that list too. I think he's been a moderate signing again, but is he the type of signing to keep you up? Probably not. Suter, obviously, Sheffield United. He did well there. Obviously, got an injury, but doesn't like he's got a future at Leicester either. Cannon frustrates and goes, but yeah, same. Personally, I don't think Cannon is. I don't think he's the answer for Leicester right now. But to let him go for barely any profit when you're probably going to be in a championship next season, and he got a championship striker there, it seems crazy to me. But hey, and it comes down to PSR, and people can make the excuse that no, we can't sign anyone because of PSR, but it's the owner's fault that we got PSR issues because of the stupid contracts and the stupid fees we're paying for these players in the last 5, 6, 7 seasons. That's the thing. It's just been a long-term process, and I hate to say it, but it's ever since Vichars died. And obviously we had the FA Cup since that, but generally, I still think that was kind of Vichars' reign kind of continuing because he set the foundations to really for Leicester to succeed. But I think in most recent years, those foundations are being a bit unravelled, and you kind of see what has actually gone on at Leicester in the last few years, and it is in a sorry state, and it's sad to see really because we've gone from such great heights to this, and it's like, when is the next win going to come from? When is the next goal going to come from? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't really enjoy going to home matches anymore, to be honest. I think just there's just so many issues. So depressing, man. Obviously Tillemans, we let him go for free as well. That's another stupid one. Should we have cashed him in after Leicester won the FA Cup? Once again, in hindsight, yes, it would have been sad to see him go at the time, but that season we kind of broke the model because usually Leicester obviously sold one of our major players. Obviously the season before it was Ben Chilwell. Obviously we missed out that season. And after that it was Wesley Fofana, and I think I think that season was kind of the start of the downfall. Obviously, just like I said in at the start of today's stream, we obviously got to a European semi-final and finished 8th in the season, which isn't bad at all for Leicester, is it? But I think there were signs that season that things were starting to turn for the worse. There was a bit more pressure around Rodgers, the ownership, Rudkin, etc., the transfer business and whatnot. But even so, you can't have that season and get relegated the season after. It's crazy to me. And obviously, look, the league tables, it seems like a long time ago, but back-to-back 5th place finishes as well. And it draws to my point, which I made a bit earlier. The board should have just gone for it. We had the opportunity to really cement ourselves in obviously Europe, and it's a shame that we bottled the Champions League, and you can't really blame that. I don't think too much on the board. It was a bit of a mix of the players, the management in that situation, because we should have got Champions League both times. I think everybody knows that, but even so, you can't go from that position to having a squad competing that high up in the Premier League to a matter of years later to falling off this much. And even if Leicester stayed in the Premier League and were fighting relegation, but just about finish 15th, I'd still call that fall off. But to be in the position we are now is just crazy. And it's crazy to think 4 years ago we were competing at the very top. It's like it's unbelievable. But then again, if you look at Nottingham Forest, they're doing it in the exact reverse way. But I think one thing which I think most of you guys in the chat would agree with is the communication with fans. I think that's a real issue because Leicester are built on this kind of family club, and I'm not seeing anything family or anything community or anything like that in the last couple of seasons. There's a real lack of transparency about absolutely anything. And I know a lot of the lads on Blue Tints to Glass have talked about it, like the injury news as well. Wolford and Diddy. No one has a Scooby-Doo when the guy's back. Like, little things like that. Like, Hermanson, like, we don't know anything about injuries or anything whatsoever. It's just the same old answers from press conferences. And obviously, it's not really Ruud's responsibility in such to have the communication for the whole club, but there's very limited messaging from the club. Ticket prices, my days. If any of you guys are going to Man United away in the FA Cup, I know Man United set the prices, but Leicester should have said something about that. Fair play to you, because I will not be there. The home prices, you know, you can pay upwards of 70 quid for the next home game against Arsenal on the halfway line to watch us probably lose about 4-0 and don't even have a shot on target. It's like 70 quid to watch this. It's unbelievable. The season ticket cards, I had to pay 25 quid for a card which I had last season for free. Why? Safe standing. The club have introduced a safe standing trial in the bottom row, or the bottom few rows. And do the people stand in the safe standing? No, they sit in the safe standing. So that tells you everything about Leicester right now. And the safe standing is a few rows below the singing section. Why on earth it's not put in there, I do not know. The internal review when Leicester got relegated. What's the point of that? So yeah, that's ridiculous as well. Internal review of what? There should have been communication about that, in my opinion. Top, did a statement when Leicester got relegated, and you could probably write the same statement right now, and it would have the exact same meaning. That's what I mean. The family club feel. I just don't see it anymore. And they give out 3 bottles of Chang and you flipping coconuts once a season, and everyone's it's all good, but it's not. It's just trying to paper over some cracks, and the whole matchday experience as well. There's been a lot said on Twitter recently about the stadium announcer. Obviously, no one knows the ins and outs behind that, but obviously Leicester have had a new stadium announcer this season. Personally, I prefer the old one, but I just think the whole matchday experience is very Americanized with the whole intro graphics and videos and whatnot. It's obviously nice, and I do my own video on here, but it just seems a bit repetitive, and every match day at the King Power is just kind of the same right now as well, from the performance, the feel, the atmosphere. It's just like, can he really be asked? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't know. Don't know. Yeah, well, yeah. But mobile tickets, in my opinion, are horrible. And when you want to give your season ticket card to someone else, you can't with that. So that's the only reason why I did it. But that's the thing. The actual price of the tickets for season tickets aren't that bad, but for people who have memberships, I know you do, Jerry. It's like the prices are absolutely ridiculous, and it's small things. But as someone who goes to games a lot, I just find it so frustrating the way the fans are being treated, and I think it's pretty disgusting. 72 quid or how much it is would be semi-acceptable. I don't think it is acceptable really in any form, but it'd be semi-acceptable for Leicester to competing right at the top, and going to the King of Power will be fun. You'd be wild, but it's just like I just don't see any identity. From what I've seen from Leicester supporters online, they're saying it's the ownership not caring anymore about the club. Is there some truth in that, or is it just frustration? I think Top cares about Leicester. He's not making the best impression that he does. I do believe he cares about Leicester, but he's not going about it in the right way. I think Top himself, we'll go back to him on the first slide. I think Top is obviously he's very inexperienced. He never really should have got into this position, but the thing is, Jon Rudkin should have never got into his position either. So you could say it about everyone, but I believe Top still cares. But if he cared about the club, he would make changes, and he does not. So I don't really know what to say, because the amount of mistakes which keep going on and on and on, it's just rinse and repeat, and we're not seeing anything change. And in my opinion, I think Leicester City are 99% down this season, and I say down, and I keep meaning going down, because next season, if Leicester are in a championship, we are never going to get promoted straight away. And I think there's more of a chance that Leicester City go down again, and we're walking into an absolute mess. And that's why everyone in the Leicester fan base, if anyone outside of Leicester, is so frustrated with the lack of transfer business, because I think it's honest from me to say that this window is probably one of the most important windows we'll have in the next 5 years, and we've made £1 on signing from Parma in Wayu Koulibaly, and it's like, it's a 22nd now, and we're not linked with anybody. And the only link we had yesterday was a bloody Reading defender. It's like, what's he gonna do? It's like, I'm just sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it, and I've been saying it for years. And I'm happy that the whole fan base is finally waking up to it. And I know there's a lot of people in there who are on the same wavelength as me. And obviously, everyone can have their opinions, and you know it's harsh to want to see Top go in a way because of what he's done. But for what he's doing now, it's just kind of taken over that that history, in my opinion, and it's sad really. But I genuinely believe he is ruining the King Power legacy, and you know this is Leicester City Football Club. It's not King Power Football Club, and that's a phrase that a lot of people are using on Twitter right now, and it's spot on in my opinion. But yeah. It's a good question there, mate. Thank you. It's mad, mate. Cheaper for me to have a season ticket rather than be a member. Exactly that, mate. I know. You all right, Jack? Hope you're doing all right, mate. 2 relegations in 3 years is really on the horizon with a squad that has 2 clean sheets. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, that tweet from yesterday was good. That is ridiculous, isn't it? 2 clean sheets in 43 Premier League games, and what do we do transfer wise? Oh yeah, we'll play the exact same back four which got relegated the season we did. It's like, come on, man. It's like that's your basic stuff, innit? I know that back line was largely playing the back end of the season, but you do not play the exact same or part of the exact same defence which got relegated. Like, come on, it's like it's obvious. Even a bloody 5-year-old could probably work that out if you compare the two teams. It's like I just don't get it at all. But anyway, let me go back forward in my slides just in case I missed anything. Anyway, oh yeah, on to this season then. Well, Steve Cooper. Obviously, in hindsight, you know, I think some of the fans were a little bit harsh on him. You know, I think it's pretty obvious how poor our squad is. People saying that we shouldn't have sacked him. I still think we should have sacked him. I think our squad is very depleted right now in terms of the injuries. He had a full squad to work with. I think he got very lucky in terms of the points he did pick up. I think in terms of style, is it better now? I don't know. I would have maybe said that after the Palace game, after watching the game on Saturday against Fulham. Yeah, I was so angry I didn't even do the matchday vlog. I just couldn't be bothered, to be perfectly honest, because I feel like I'm just uploading the exact same as the Palace game. You know, we're doing all right at half time, then we go and concede. It's like, what is the point? But yeah, I think in terms of Steve Cooper, look, it was never the right appointment. If you have your bloody owner saying he didn't really want him in the first place after he got sacked, tells you everything you need to know about Leicester City and their situation in terms of the leadership. That is absolutely ridiculous. If that rumour's true, and I believe it's from a very good source, if Top didn't want Cooper, why the hell did we get him? Like, surely Top makes the final decision, but you're going to trust bloody Jon Rudkin, who's got the track record of I don't know what, but you know what I mean? Like, why are you trusting Jon Rudkin? He's done nothing but mess his club up in the last 2 years. Why are you giving him, to get Steve Cooper? Like, even so, it's the managerial appointment. It's crazy. And even like in April last year, Preston away, everyone was so happy. We thought, yes, we're back in the Premier League. We've got an elite coach under Enzo Maresca. I'm still going to talk about Maresca because believe me, we would not be in this situation with Maresca. I'm not saying we'd be pushing for the top 10 or anything, but believe me, we would be nowhere near this bad under Enzo Maresca. The feeling was so good. Then we go and get Steve Cooper. It's just this season's just been horrible, hasn't it? Exactly, that's what I mean. Exactly that. It's like it's just stupid decision making. And yes, we kept Cooper, and yes, we got Cooper. Sorry, in the first place, but the signings then after that were just so poor. The money we spent was absolutely ridiculous. Oliver Skip for 20 or 25 million with add-ons is one of the worst signings I've ever seen, and it's not his fault because I honestly don't know, because part of me still thinks he offers something, but he really doesn't though in some of the games. Like I haven't seen him. I haven't seen it at all. And how he used to play for Tottenham some weeks is beyond me really, because he is so poor. And I honestly feel slightly bad for him really, because he's coming for a hefty price and he's barely, well, to put it bluntly, he hasn't lived up to it, and it's not really his fault. But it's just to spend that amount of money is ridiculous, and how some people in our fan base are still, don't look at this and realise something's wrong. It's absolutely beyond me. Spending that amount of money on Skip and then going in January, oh, we can't sign anyone because of PSR issues. It's all right. Like what? This is the issue. Like we're just spending so much on absolute crap. It's like the centre backs are worth like 50 million. We've got like Faz, Vestergaard, Cody, all them lot. It's like Caleb Akoli, like he's been here for 6 months. He's going to be probably going. It's like Exactly, exactly, 100%. Better players went elsewhere for free, and that's the thing. I'm not asking for Leicester to sign world beaters. I'd rather this season have signed some, I wouldn't say washed up, but some old centre back who's experienced, and just like we did the season we did stay up with someone like Robert Hoof. That's the type of signing we need. But instead, we're looking at like I thought we have got experience though, but they're all crap. It's like it's so frustrating, man. I just think the transfer business in the summer was absolutely shocking. I can't lie. On paper, I thought it was a good mix, but it really hasn't worked out. And when you look at the prices, like let's say we got skipped for about 5 million, I'll be a bit more happy with it. But for 2025, it's like, come on, man. Enzo to Cooper was a huge downgrade, and it was a massive downgrade in terms of how they play football. And that's why teams like Brighton have done so well, because Brighton could have quite easily done what Leicester have done. They've had a massive high. They've a club who've come from the bottom. A few of their managers left. But they replaced them with managers who play a similar style, and they can just transition and keep going forward. But Leicester haven't done that, and we kind of had a massive reset. We had Steve Cooper come in. It's obvious that the players didn't really rate him, which is always going to be a massive issue. So I believe it's always going to be the right decision to sack him. But he should have never been appointed in the first place. It's PSR that's caught our business model out. Nothing to sell. First 11, but way too much to put in the squad as well. 100%. But that's the thing. It's like, surely the owners realise that PSR is an issue, but then we keep making the same mistakes by signing deadwood players again this window with stupid high prices and stupid wages. It's like, come on. Yes, fair. If Leicester made that mistake once to realise it, fair enough. But we're not reacting to it. We're not making any changes to it, and we just keep doing the same thing over and over again, which I believe is the definition of insanity. So it's like, if the club's going to keep making the same errors, you can only really do one thing and say get out or change or do something. Personally, I don't really want Top to leave because I think it'd be sad, but he needs to change the people around him at least. And if he's not prepared to do that, he has to go himself. That's the way I see it. That 25 million could have been spent so much better in the squad. That's the issue, 100%. And midfield wasn't even our main priority, was it? Um, hey, mate, feels like it's been all downhill since Newcastle away. Still enjoyed meeting you, racking up that line and Doggo Parrot there. Yeah, Newcastle away was not great, was it? But that's the thing, though. I feel like last month there was so much positivity about Leicester, but it's just quickly descended, and yeah, we had that new manager bounce. But I still believe if Leicester had every single player available, like Mads, like Abdul, like and Didi, it could have been a bit different. But we can't make too many excuses really, because we spent so much money on absolute crap in squad depth and not performing. We should use Moneyball, no play over 32, no slow players with the people. Chop in the lower leagues, yeah, potentially. I was going to say that, yeah. What is the point in them? I swear their biggest talent's just gone to West Ham, which is ridiculous. Like, what's the point of having a sister club if we're not going to use them? It's like crazy. Mate. I'd take David Nugent. At least he shows some fight. Jordan Ayew, another one who's was alright at the start, but his attitude in recent weeks has been appalling as well. And I think that's a fundamental, really, especially for a player, with experience that Jordan Ayew supposedly has, for his attitude to be like that. And yeah, it's not on, in my opinion. Like, after the Crystal Palace game, yes, go and say hello to your mates from your old club, but don't go kissing the badge and whatnot, and heart in the badge, especially at the King Power as well. And I think one thing we need to talk about is these players as well, because obviously most of us were quite happy to see Steve Cooper sacked, and obviously we don't know the full story behind this Enzo I miss you sign. But for the players to do that, to party and whatnot, and then to turn up with these performances week in, week out, is pretty disgusting as well, in my opinion. I think a lot can be said about the board and what's going wrong at Leicester right now, but the players have to up their game as well. It's pretty embarrassing, really. Like, this video was always going to cause some embarrassment to come, to come, and it has, because since this video, they've been absolutely awful. And some of the individual performances, the attitudes, the basic mistakes, for the amount they get paid, is just ridiculous, in my opinion, and it's not acceptable really for a club in the Premier League. And they'll be alright, because Leicester will get relegated, and half of them will get big money moves somehow, or big wages to their next club. So So frustrating, but I think a word does need to be said on the players as well, because some people having conversations about Van Nistelrooy. Is he going to get sacked? I don't know, because it's tough really for Ruud. 7 straight defeats in a row. Any other team and any other part of the season that probably gets you to sack, but one, can Leicester afford to sack him? 2, is there any point? 3, if we did, who would we even get? It's like, I think if we sacked Ruud, that would be a pretty poor decision. I wouldn't put it past our board to do so, but I don't think there's any point really, because I think we're pretty much done and dusted. We've seen how poor the squad is under 2 different managers. Part of me still thinks it could turn if we get the likes of Ndidi and Hermanson back quickly, but who knows? But going forward, I want to see Ndidi back in the team alongside Samore. I think Winks has been quite poor this season. I want to see Mads back in goal. We'd all dream of having Fatu back on the right, but we can't. But are we going to sign another winger? We're not. So we're kind of stuffed with this kind of combination of, do we play Ayew on the right? Do we play Buonanotte on the right, who cuts inside? But then you got Justin, who's meant to go forward, who doesn't go forward. It's just like, I don't know. Put the fans in charge. We'd probably do a better job. Let a homegrown talent who fights for the badge leave just to spend money on that. Yeah, exactly that. Why not keep Deuce Pearl? Yeah, but then again, the Deuce Pearl sale was completely down to PSR, which once again, just tells you everything really. I think we'd all love Kiernan to come back into the team. I think some people are arguing that we don't need Deuce Pearl. I think we'll snap your hands off. For Deuce Pearl to come back into the fold at Leicester, but I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. No point to sack him. Yeah, it's not his fault. Players are awful. Yeah, agreed, 100%. And that's why I say I think we're a bit harsh under Cooper. But a question for you guys in the chat: what was worse, this or Cooper Ball? Because on the face of it, it's pretty easy to say it's Van Nistelrooy. But I think when you look at the wins Leicester had, the points we picked up, the team available to Cooper at that time, a lot of context does come into it. But that's the thing. Under Cooper, we were scraping the odd result here and there. But it's weird though, because under Cooper, we were so open at the back. We had barely any chances going forward, but we always seemed to score. Now on the Ruud, where I would say we are slightly better at the back in terms of less shots against us, but there's more individual errors. But we're creating less chances going forward, and when we do get a chance, we can't finish. So it's just a recipe for an absolute disaster, really. Because if you're bad in both boxes, you ain't going to do anything. Especially in the Premier League, you just get punished for absolutely every single. It's like that Crystal Palace game. Like, I don't think Crystal Palace were even that good, but they take their chances, they defend well, and get a pretty simple 2-0 win. And that's the reason why Crystal Palace stay up every season, come mid-table, but don't progress, because they kind of just average all over the field. But when you average all over the field and you got a bit of sparkle in the final third in the likes of Eze, Mateta, Sarr, etc., it's going to bring you over the line and get points. And Leicester don't have that. The attack is finished really. Vardy is not the same. Ayew. Mavididi, in my opinion, has this thing called step over syndrome, because I've never seen Steffi actually do something without having to get it to his feet, do a few step overs, and then move it on. And the likes of Buonanotte, I think El Canus, like, I know he got subbed off against Fulham, and that was a crazy reaction, but the right reaction at home, obviously. And it's like, we just don't really have anything in midfield. I think Samare's been probably one of our better players so far this season, but he's not going to set the world alight in terms of keeping us up. I think Winks has been pretty poor this season, really, generally. I think he was a big part. Obviously, we don't know exactly, but I think he's a big part of trying to get Steve Cooper out, and he hasn't really performed. Under Ruud, I think the back line, we've said it enough about the individual errors there. The centre backs either play well, and then the fullbacks have stinkers, or the fullbacks play well, the centre backs have stinkers. So there's we honestly can't win. And obviously we had them games with Danny Ward in goal as well. I was shocking Saturday. I think it's been shocking really most of the season, apart from the first few games of Southampton. What can Ruud do? No players. Suspects. 100%. Man. Half the stars Cooper had are out. Hermanson single-handedly. I agree. Yeah, 100. Yeah, exactly my point. Too many players with no heart for relegation. Exactly. Ruud for me is out of its depth with the squad. I think you are right, Jack, to some extent there. I think Ruud is struggling with kind of a team who's not competing at the top, because in any level of management he's had, albeit quite is limited. Let's be honest, he's been dealing with a squad who's been competing, to be fair, to win trophies, get top four, etc. So I think he's not really used to trying to manage a team who's trying to stay up and scrape the odd result. Here and there. So in hindsight, I don't think the decision to get Van Nistelrooy in was the right one, but we could have got Cole Bramley, and we could be sat here having the exact same conversation. So I don't think there's too much point really suggesting we should have got somebody else instead of Cooper. Well, I mean from the start, but I mean in terms of replacing Cooper, it was a bit like who was available really. So, and it's always going to be an uphill task. And even if Leicester got someone like Potter, I think he would have a struggle as well in terms of getting something out of this team, because they are just not poor. Well, they are poor. Sorry, if it's just bought another player for Tony Weir in Leicester, we'd even nothing exactly. Don't think anyone can save us. We don't have a good enough squad. Doesn't matter the manager. Yeah, I said sadly, I think you are right, and I hold my hands up because start the season. I said this squad is more than capable of staying up, but I guess the injuries we have do play a part into that, obviously now. But I think the team we currently have available to us is nowhere near Premier League standard, and it's a shame, really, because I think we all were quite excited about this season. We all knew there was going to be a possibility of obviously getting relegated, and quite a strong one. But I just think with the season we had last year from the Championship, the attacking, the exciting players that we had, it's like it's just vanished. And one thing which is annoying me as well is, why is Vardy playing every single game? Like last year, he barely played. You know, obviously last year we had games on Tuesday, Saturday. Ruud keeps playing him every single week for 90 minutes. Like he can't do it. He can't do it. I mean, you know, we got all these. We got that. I like Daka's not the answer, obviously, but if you want someone to try and stretch the game, bring him on. It's like Daka actually did well in Ruud's first game against West Ham, and it's I just can't believe stuff like that. Like, why is Vardy playing the whole game? Why is El Khun getting subbed off for bloody McAteer and Skipper or whoever? It's like, well, I'd rather sell Daka or Cannon. Probably Daka, but I think Cannon probably has more value really at this point. How long's left on Daka's contract, by the way? Because it can't be very long, can it? Because I don't believe Daka got a contract extension at any point, so he's not going to have long left, is he? No manager, even Pep, would do anything with this squad. If you start a season on Football Manager, do you keep any City players? Now that's a very good comment. And if you put it like that, I'd say very little. Very little. I think the players who are Premier League standard, I'd say Hermanson. I would say Wout Faz, which is quite controversial. I know. I would say Victor Christensen. I would say Buba Samare. I would say Ndidi. I'd say El Canus. I'd say Buonanotte. Would I say Mavididi? Maybe just. And apart from that, that's some Fatawu. I don't know if I'm missing anyone obvious, but is Vardy Premier standard anymore? I struggle. Vestergaard isn't. I don't think Justin is. It's Winks. I think he's one of them, like just like Steffi. So yeah, quite. Is it 2026? He had a long contract, didn't he? But yeah, only 1 year left for Daka then, so he's going to be going for peanuts. So yeah, to answer your question, um, I would say Daka, but from a financial point of view, it's got to be Cannon. That's probably the reason why Leicester are trying to sell Cannon on. But do we have a striker lined up to swoop in for Tom Cannon? No. Well, to replace Tom Cannon, we don't, which makes it more frustrating. I think the seller Tom Cannon's frustrating in the first place, but then not to have anyone to lined up to come in and replace him is even more frustrating, in my opinion, because that's kind of the basics of any transfers. And obviously, the club may have someone lined up, but everything leaks like a sieve these days in terms of transfer rumours. So I think Leicester fans, we would probably know if someone was, in terms of striker, was being talked to or bids placed or whatever to come in. But it looks like we can only get loans as well. So it is a sorry state, really, isn't it? And it's the same old January transfer when they're ready for Leicester. Even last year, we couldn't. The one player who obviously Maresca wanted was Stefano Sensi, and the board still couldn't even do that. And that's the thing. They said it's because of PSR issues. They bloody had him flying out to England for a medical, but then go, "Oh, we can't sign because of PSR." How did you work that out so late? Like, surely you'd know immediately that you can't. It's like stupid stuff like that. But anyway, in response to all this absolute nonsense, then from Leicester, there's reportedly going to be a protest ahead of the Arsenal game, which is obviously our next home game at the King Power in the Premier League, which is scheduled for a Saturday 12:30 kickoff. May get moved to a night game, but yeah. This reads: we will be making our voices heard at the King Power Stadium for our next home game against Arsenal. Join us at 11:30 a.m. on the Saturday outside the ground if you believe in a better future for Leicester City. Be there, be loud, be united. Sorry, the fight for a club starts now for Leicester, for the future, for the reset. So I think that's a pretty good kind of statement placed by one of the fan groups. I believe it is. How that protest will go, I'm not too sure. Will lots of people attend it? I don't know. Obviously, we don't. I hope it doesn't get violent or anything like that. But if something doesn't change, the protests will keep increasing, and they're more likely to get violent. So, but I think this is the start of a toxic. How long we don't know at the King Power Stadium, but the fans have clearly had enough. You know, we've gave the board kind of a chance this season to do their business right, to get the right transfers in and try and have some sort of success, but they haven't. This January transfer window and the form has obviously accumulated into this. You know, I think every Leicester fan is just sick of it right now, and it's kind of accumulated into this. And I think that Arsenal game is going to be an interesting one. And I think we still need to try and back the lads as much as as hard as it is, because they're not really giving us anything to really get behind. But I think this has to be directed at the owners especially, and try and make it, you know, obvious to them. But then again, it could it spur us on? I don't know. But I'm trying to get a positive out of a bloody protest. But who knows, boys and girls. But yeah, I think we're pretty much covered everything. Reckon if you would turn up, yeah, I think I'll probably go along, see what happens. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? But then again, you can protest as much as you want, but Top will probably look at it and, you know, shake his head, and we'll keep going with Top. There's not much we can do, but yeah, I think in the past, obviously the fans have played a part, you know, in getting managers sacked. I think, you know, Cooper, but trying to get the owner or Rudkin or someone at the top out is going to be a bit more difficult than that. So we'll have to wait and see, boys and girls. Yeah, everyone in the chat, make sure to go and head over to Jack's channel to watch that interview with Rob Tyler. I did tune in for some of it last night, so I need to go and watch that back. But yeah, it's good to be back on the live stream, boys and girls. If you've got any final thoughts on this whole situation at Leicester, feel free to let me know. I know it's been a very negative one, but is there anything positive at Leicester City right now? I am not too sure. But in terms of content, I'm going to try and stay a bit more consistent now over the next couple of weeks until the end of the season, which is going to be difficult. Hopefully we can have an upturn in form, but that's going to be difficult. But yeah, next match of the vlog will be at Tottenham. I'm going to try and make that a good little edit, going behind the scenes on an away day, because no doubt the stuff on the pitch is going to ruin it. And then the week after, we have our final visit to Goodison Park, which will be a good one as well. So yeah, lots of content on the way. Big thanks to you boys for coming in tonight. 20 of you guys I know, which is pretty decent considering I haven't gone live since after the West Ham game, which was a game we actually won. But yeah, make sure to go and drop a like. As I say, it helps the channel out massively. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I think Jerry's got the perfect way to end it here. Last thing, Jon Rudkin out. I completely agree. And if Rudkin isn't going to be sorted out by Top, what happens then? Is it King Power out? I don't know. I think it may have to be. Anyway, boys and girls, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe and up to Leicester.